Hello beautiful people. Today I'm going to show you my 1 month garden update here on the East Coast. So it's been about a month since I put in the Ugelkultur bed back there. Since then I've done a second one. You can watch the 90-second video to that up here. But I'm going to show you how the garden's evolved, how it's grown, the latest updates, some things I've had to do, and I'll share some tips and tricks and methodologies along the way. So you can learn a lot during this informational video and also enjoy the beautiful sights and sounds of the East Coast of the United States at the very beginning of summer. So thank you all for joining in this video. I'm going to flip the camera around and do the walkthrough. Okay. So here is the garden, and the first thing you'll notice is that there's now a fence up around it. So we were having rogue nibblers. First there were some rabbits and there's lots of bunnies around, and then also a muskrat or beaver or something large, some large rodent, and then also deer. So I had to put up this fence, and this has worked really well, and it's fairly economical. And basically it's just 6-foot T-post like this, 6-foot T-post. And then this goes to 4 feet. So this is a rabbit wire fence, basically, going up to 4 feet. This is a, I'm not sure we'll get the focus. This is a wire that I used to string kind of stabilize the fence along the top. It definitely helped. And then we have, see, deer can jump like 8 feet tall. And a deer can just jump over this really quick. So at first we put up the rabbit fence to stop the bunnies, but the deer kept getting in and chomping on stuff. I'll talk about that more a little bit once inside. So then to build a full 8-foot fence would be really expensive, and also it would block a lot of light. But a deer is not going to jump if it has just a couple obstacles. So here's a wire at 6 feet. I'm not sure you can see this one. There's a wire at 8 feet there, right? And maybe you can see that now. Yeah, there we go. And that has stopped all the deer since I've put that in. So that's been really effective. The T-posts aren't that expensive. This fencing is the most expensive part of it, the whole operation right here. But if you can get past that, this whole thing costs less than $300 US, probably more like $250, hard to say, but yeah, really effective. So the fence is up, that stopped all the nibblers, and that was an issue because when we first planted the garden, we had a whole bunch of basil and some dill and some lettuce. Like, most of the lettuce was chomped down completely, the romaine, which is really unfortunate. Still recovering, but for the most part this garden has absolutely exploded over the past month. So this is the raised bed that I have in that video, which will pop up right now, and you can just see how prolific everything's growing here. This is a wonderful, beautiful tomato. It's just absolutely going nuts. We have a basil plant, very healthy basil plant here. This is all charred, so this is edible. Really good stuff. You can pick it when it's young and fresh like this, or you can wait till it's bigger. But it's good stuff. We have some beets here, right? You'll see a lot of green onions all across this garden. These green onions were just the bottoms from store-bought green onions. Really simple to regrow them. Just when you cut off the bottoms, instead of throwing them away, just put them in the ground. It's as simple as that, and they just absolutely love it. And then with enough of that, after maybe 3 bunches of green onions planted, you can just harvest them at any time, anywhere. So we have a lot. This is from a wildflower mix, and we have a few patches of this around the garden. So here's another one, and here's a big one. I don't know what everything is. I don't know what this guy is, though they're getting fairly large, so could be sunflowers. But there's a lot of borage in the wildflower mix. So I did plant some actual borage. Well, actual, by actual I mean is already potted. I put that in the ground, you'll see that shortly. But it turns out we have lots of borage here in the garden now. So great pollinator, I'll show you what that looks like. And there's parsley all throughout. Some shade on that. We have some lamium here, which I've also spread out around this ugocultor raised bed. So there's other little lamiums on the sides. And here's another one of the parsley. You can see how much it was chomped on by the deer. So it's starting to grow back now. There's all the chard. And this is a cola plant. This is the type of plant that they use to flavor Coca-Cola with. So this is going to be interesting for later in the summer months, or on a hot summer day. Take a little bit of this, grind it up, maybe add it to a fizzy drink and enjoy. So, oh, and also we have a sage here, which is now starting to really grow much better. It's been taking its time. It suffers some accidents early on, but now it's doing great. So pretty easy to manage weeds when you have these raised beds. You just pick them as you go, and it really doesn't require all that much work. We also put in a bench, and I put down all this bark here, which was chipped. If you can see that big log in the distance, we had to take down a tree, so rather than sending it all off to the dump or something, we took almost all of that tree and chipped it, and now the chips are all throughout the garden, which is really great. So the life force of the tree can stay here on the property. And we planted nasturtiums over here, and they're doing great. So nasturtiums are perennial. They'll come up all the time and put out wonderful flowers. You can also eat these, though I haven't eaten any yet because they're just too tiny. I want them to establish. But once this whole area is just going nuts with nasturtiums, it'll be really easy to go out here and pick a leaf or two and chomp it down. So that's great. Helps keep you healthy. This is the borage. So you can see how beautiful this plant is, and they have these incredible flowers, 5-starred, and the pollinators love borage. It's one of their favorites. They absolutely go crazy for it. Small pollinators, native pollinators, black bees, regular bees, they're all fans. We also have strawberries here. Our strawberries are growing very, very well, and they have these beautiful pink flowers on them. It's excellent. And they're putting out spreaders. But here's what I mean with that wildflower mix. This wildflower mix is almost all borage, it turns out. And this is edible. So besides just being a good pollinator, you can actually take these leaves, eat them, chomp them down, or you can saute them. Might be a little easier to digest for some people that way. But it's completely edible, which is great. We even have a volunteer tomato here. Don't know how this got here, where it came from, but this little guy had just started growing up in the middle of all his wildflower friends, so we're gonna leave him and see what he does. Over here we have a bell pepper, and this guy is just pumping into his bell pepper. It's a yellow bell pepper. At some point it'll turn yellow, and that means it's ripe. It's doing really well. The parsley here, this is one that never really got chomped on, so it's just growing very prolifically, doing very well. Here we have more of the wood chips from the tree. We have some kale, and this kale has actually been here since last year, so the kale's been doing very well. And one of the secrets of this garden is this romaine. This romaine here was never found by all the chompers because it was hidden and protected by the 2 kale plants here, Mom and Dad. So it's harvestable at any point, but for right now we're just going to keep letting it kind of grow. Those are purple kale. This is a yellow kale. It's really interesting. It shows off, it demonstrates my philosophy with gardening very well, which is not to pull things. Like this kale went, it's shady so it's hard to see. This kale went and just fell over one day, right? It was tired, it wanted to lay down. So it did. It has its seed pods, right? So it got weighed down. That's one of the romaine that got chomped. You can maybe see the damage on it. But look at this. Let's see if I can get that focus. That kale also had a backup plant. It put a new growth out. That will probably root right there. And look at this. Beautiful kale plant coming right out of it. Now it has a second life. So this is how you can have a kale plant, or certain plants go perennial. They honestly just keep regenerating this way. They grow up, have their seed pods. They want to put their seeds on new ground, plants are very smart. They'll find bare soil, they'll drop into that space, and then, if you're lucky, you'll have new growth come out of it, just like that. This is garlic mustard. This is edible. It's pretty bitter, but it's an edible plant. And overall, I like keeping this plot. You'll see it's not the most weeded, you could say, because all these plants are working together. All the root systems are working together here, and that's the goal. That's why we put so much in here, because we want all these plants to work together and establish really good root systems. And this actually is where I put 3 romaine in this garden here. There's one there, and one there, and they're just gone now because they got chomped too many times. This is the only one that's coming back. So we lost some of our romaine, but not a big deal, because look at this beautiful zucchini here. Absolutely gorgeous. It's pumping out zucchinis now. Here are some dandelions. I kept the dandelions. It's a good thing I did. I kept them because they have great tap roots, bringing up nutrients, this, that. They're great pollinators. But it's a good thing I kept them, because the deer, when it got in here, it actually mowed these down completely. And if I didn't have the dandelions, it probably would have eaten much more of what was in the garden than it would have otherwise. So it probably would have completely chomped this parsley, whereas instead it went for a lot of the dandelion. There's another one on the other side of the raised bed. The big raised bed. Here's a beautiful lavender. The butterflies love the lavender there. So, I mean, what an excellent choice, and bright flash of color. Here are the cucumbers. They're just doing exceptional, and I put this trellis in for them, so they're happily growing up that. And we also have a strawberry here. What is this? Rutabaga. I believe rutabaga, another zucchini, some flowers, peppermint. We have jalapeno, another jalapeno over there, some cabbage, not cabbage, cucumber, which is now growing towards this trellis that I made. And we have butternut squash. We have a massive volunteer potato here. We have more tomato. Swiss chard is doing excellent. Butternut squash, rosemary, whole bunch of goodness in this garden, including some volunteers. A wonderful Concord grape, which is helping establish the entire garden with a very strong root network. And you can see the grapes on this are just really, really beautiful. I mean, these are just incredible grapes here that they're ripening. Sweet woodruff. This is the new Ugelkultur. That's a sweet woodruff, which can be brewed into a tea. Hyssop, which is just a perennial. Some cabbage, which we're putting in. Save that guy from Lowe's. It wasn't doing well. Parsley. We have bell pepper. We have a jalapeno. They might be mixed. I think this is the bell pepper. This is a valerian, so another tea herb for sleeping. Another basil, and then a marigold. So overall, just in a it's very incredible how much has grown in the past month, and I wanted to share this update with you all. So thanks so much for joining and watching this video, and there's going to be a month 2 update once I get back. So thanks all for joining, and I wish you all a great and wonderful day. Bye. Please like this video if you're a fan of gardening and permaculture, and share any suggestions or video requests you have in the comments below. I'm happy to create more earth-conscious media to share with the world. I'll be releasing regular update videos for this garden, so if you'd like to see the evolution of this beautiful space I've created and nurtured while learning more about my gardening philosophy and how you can do this yourself, please subscribe to my channel and stay notified. You can also visit my health and wellness website, Wild Free Organic, for more information. Peace and love to everyone. Namaste.